Welcome back to Stooge Stream for another episode of the WCPW Recap Show. In this episode, we're looking at the WCPW What Culture Extra Special, Lights Out. This was a pay-per-view quality special that was only available to people that have What Culture Extra, with some great matches that we're going to break down. I am your co-host, the Stooge. Let me introduce you to the host of the show, the one and only Knockout Fiona.
Knockout Fiona here, checking in on this pay-per-view. You said the word quality pay-per-view, or pay-per-view quality.
We'll discuss the filming quality later.
The wrestling, of course, as usual, was outstanding. But yeah, the filming quality.
There was a point in the main event where Alex Shane said, this reminded me of watching VHS tapes of ECW shows back in the 90s. I'm like, yeah, this show really does. Because that's what it looks like. It looks like it was filmed on VHS.
Or an iPhone 4, at least.
No.
3?
iPhone 3 maybe.
Look, no, we're not going to trash it off the bat. We've come to expect that What Culture Pro Wrestling are still finding their feet with their tech and streaming and that type of thing. But we will take it. We'll take what we can get, because 2017... is looking to continue to be another great year for British wrestling. And you'll note that WWE have jumped on that bandwagon as well and stolen half the WCPW roster.
And two actual new British wrestling shows are getting TV time. So there's an ICW show coming to TV and a 5-star wrestling show coming to Channel 5 in the UK and Spike UK. So that's pretty insane that in the course of a year in the course of the last 10 years, there's been no wrestling on British TV other than WWE. And now, in the last 12 months, we've had the rise of WCPW, the World of Sports special over last year, which has given a resurgence to British wrestling on TV. Now we've got 2 more shows, the WWE UK tournament. What Culture is just grabbing steam. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Well, technically, those Stooge, to pull you up, What Culture is on the internet.
It is, but it's still a rising entity.
It is, but the power of the internet, I think, really speaks volumes. You know, you don't have to have a particular cable provider or have certain channels. Like, yeah, we pay for What Culture Extra, but this is what you get for it. But that's okay, guys. Get into it.
So
Speaking of, let's get into the show.
Yeah.
So it started straight off the bat, no fanfare, in the ring with Prospect, accompanied by their manager, James R. Kennedy, and the current WCPW tag team champions, Johnny Moss and Liam Slater.
So this is carrying on Prospect's story, where James R. Kennedy got them a title shot at the last special event. Now they're getting their shot. This is so they can go to Miami.
Florida.
During WrestleMania season, where WCPW is invading the US. They want their tickets, but to get there, they're going to have to be the tag team champions. It's an interesting, cute little story that they're telling with this match.
So James R. Kennedy has obviously been around the British scene for a while himself as a manager. I take it a heel manager, consistent heel. Prospect are a young tag team who I think work really well together. We've put them over many times.
Their shenanigans are hilarious.
They're a good combination of annoying comedy heels / good wrestlers to back it up. So you're not just getting inundated and overbearing comedy. Their whole shtick at the moment is that James R. Kennedy isn't doing enough for them, yet he's getting the shits with them for constantly losing him, letting him down, and making him look bad. So something's going to happen in this match. I think it was, the usual combination of good wrestling, like good straight up wrestling, a little bit of like heelish action and shenanigans, but...
And let's not take away anything from Johnny Moss and Liam Slater, I should say. Liam Slater is an amazing young technician in that ring who knows his job is to take the bumps, to, be the guy that keeps working to get the hot tag to Johnny Moss, so Johnny Moss can come in and eat someone alive.
Classic tag team style.
It's fantastic. Like, they have great chemistry as well. They work together brilliantly. They know each other in and out. So having 2 tag teams in the ring to open the show, and 2 tag teams that know each other so well and know how to perform with each other, it was a great way to open this show. You knew you were going to get some fantastic action, some shenanigans from Prospect, some Johnny Moss eating someone and destroying someone, some Liam Slater doing a spectacular move of some description.
Yeah, and a lot of what do they call it?
Catch as catch can wrestling.
Yeah. And again, when Slater's in the ring, the commentators mention a lot of the World of Sport homages, throwbacks, that type of thing. So he's that next generation throwback. Yeah. And he's sporting a lovely new haircut too. I really like that. Just throw that in. As this was a tag team title match, Moss and Slater were victorious, retaining their titles. They've actually they did a variation of their finisher in this match, which is Moss, being the Cumbrian man mountain that he is, has Archer on the back, and he's on the fireman's carry over the back of his shoulders. And normally what would happen is Slater would go up onto the top ring rope, springboard jump off whoever's
that person and headbutt the other person,
and headbutt their tag team partner. Yeah, but instead of doing that, he jumped over him and at the same time, I think, grabbed him for a crossbody block. Yeah. So it was the same, rather than going for a headbutt, which we actually prefer because headbutts are dangerous.
Yeah, they are.
We've covered this in the past.
And it looked really good. So
yeah,
I really liked
still looks
Great
effective. They're still, I don't see them dropping anytime soon. I'd be great to get some more tag teams in from other promotions, other parts of the world, maybe. Yeah.
And I'm sure that's coming at some stage. And in the meantime, Johnny Moss and Liam Slater looked fantastic in victory. Prospect always come off looking good because they have their heelish shenanigans, they're fun, they're great workers. So their little hug at the end when, James R. Kennedy was yelling at them.
Yeah.
And there was a great little cute moment of like their little solidarity between themselves against James R. Kennedy.
So that's the storyline continuing.
Happening.
Exactly. So storyline, who knows what will happen with James R. Kennedy. Maybe
I see a face turn in Prospect's future.
Excellent. Yeah. We've now got, I would like to jump ahead. We've got the Swords of Essex come in as a really strong heel stable / faction. So
we don't really need another one right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Next up, we had a women's triple threat match. We saw another appearance by Ivelisse, who's been around the indie circuits and is currently in Lucha Underground from Puerto Rico. Bea Priestley, the self-proclaimed women's champion.
Which she stole.
She has the title belt that's not rightly hers. I'm assuming Nixon Newell's disappeared into the ether, perhaps?
Perhaps.
I.e. maybe WWE have some interest in her.
We'll see what happens,
So she's injured. Anyway, speculation, no idea. And a newcomer, again, from the United States of America, Tessa Blanchard.
Now, this is somebody that I've read about in FSM and heard about through the wrestling rags and so on, but never actually seen in action. There was one worry that I had, that she'd inherited Tully Blanchard's face. It's like, oh, please don't do that to that poor girl. She hasn't fantastically. And from what I heard, she was a great worker. So I was really excited to see the mix of these three girls and because these are three fantastic workers. Well, at least we know Ivelisse is because we've seen her previously. We know Bea Priestley is. What's Tessa Blanchard going to bring to the mix?
Well, Tessa is also the girlfriend of Ricochet, so I wonder if that's a lot of pressure, being like someone's significant other who's one of the best in the world.
On top of that, your dad is Tully Blanchard, one of the Four Horsemen, and your stepdad is Magnum TA, one of the greatest wrestlers of all times.
I liked her look. She was aesthetic. She wasn't a dolly bird, as my dad would say.
Not at all. Yeah. She looked athletic. She looked like a worker.
Yeah, exactly. They all worked well together. Bea was accompanied to the ring by the cronies of the Swords of Essex, Gilbert, Paul Robinson,
Paul Robinson.
What's the other guy's name? Had a complete mental block. The flippy guy does a lot of flips.
So have I, but
we'll get to it. So obviously she was there establishing dominance. I mean, she had the guys behind her like championing her.
Scotty Wainwright.
We're still learning them. They're relatively new to us. So Bea, I thought, really dominated the match. She was quite aggressive with some just really nasty, bitchy slaps, but hardcore slaps, not girly.
There was, but everybody got their moments though. There was a moment where Ivelisse was dominating the match and looked fantastic. There was a moment where Tessa Blanchard was dominating the match.
Lovely suplexes.
Amazing suplexes. Yep. So everybody got, I love when you see a triple threat match where everybody gets their moment. Everybody gets a moment to shine and actually show off what they're capable of. And in this, we got to see that, which was great.
Exactly. It does get my goat that early on in the piece, WCPW were promoting their women's wrestling, or women's division, not really a division, but at least showcasing women's wrestling. And I felt that this match was way too short. Like, way too short compared to the other matches on the card. Another 2-3 minutes at least.
Oh, look, it was a short match. There was a couple of short matches on this card because there was a lot of matches on this card.
I know, but you can't differentiate.
Yeah, so, no, I completely understand. And look, I would have liked to see this go longer as well, but there were 2 or 3 matches on this card which were actually quite short. There was a tag team match later on that was quite short as well. It's because they were trying to get everyone in and highlight them all. I get it. Would have been nice for it to be longer, but at the same time, at least we got to see it, and we got to see all 3 of them. So that was good. Inevitably, I'm tired, sorry. Bea Priestley won the match because she's going to hold on to her fake women's title because she's not the actual women's title.
She won with a lovely, vicious-looking DDT on Tessa.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
But this continues on as well. Now you've got Tessa in the mix there of what's happening with the women's division. You've got Ivelisse having been screwed out of it twice now, so she's going to want another shot. It's an interesting dynamic. What's happening with Nix and Newell? What's going to happen with the title? There's a lot happening in the women's division. I like that. It's not just, Pretty Dolly versus Pretty Dolly. There's actually stories going on which are interesting and complicated, and there's intrigue and interest there. So it's great.
Look, we've seen a lot of people come in. I'd like to see a few more regulars apart from Bea Priestley. But at the end of this match, Tessa showed her gumption, her intestinal fortitude, and stood up to the Swords of Essex. Even the guys, she was willing to have a go. She got a little bit of a beat down until Ricochet came out to her aid. And then at that point, it was established that was his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So he wasn't very pissed off. I mean, obviously she can handle her own, but if I was getting beat down like that, I would expect you to go after them.
Second,
All good.
So next up,
we had, was this a match? We had Travis Banks, the Kiwi Buzzsaw, so the
Kiwi Buzzsaw
import from New Zealand, versus Jack Sabre Jr.
And before we even start talking about the match, I'm putting it out there right now. This is match of the night.
Wow, what a match. Jack Sabre Jr. I've got a.k.a. Gumby. I don't know, is Gumby a worldwide thing?
Yeah, they should know. The rubber man.
The green plasticine animated.
Because he's just a rubber man. Like, for you Americans listening, Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a rubber man. He can do amazing things with his body that you're like, that's not possible. How? And you're rewinding the shit. And, like, we did that a couple of times. We're like, how did he do? And you're going back trying to figure it out, and you just can't. No, I don't know. How's that? It happened, though. I saw it. But how? Like, and they're both so fast as well. I think the best thing that happened to Travis Banks was Pete Dunne being picked up by the WWE.
I like the Strong Style Collective.
We put them over. We love that combination.
That might have just been a time and a place that in the current booking where it was before WWE swooped in, they needed to do something with these two, maybe help get them over by working with each other, etc., establishing, dirty, nasty, strong, hard-hitting. Yeah.
But no, he doesn't need anyone. No. And Jack Sabre Jr., this is just a spectacle. Like, it's a wrestling clinic. You go, and hard style as well. They hit each other so hard. Oh, it was insane. Some of those chops and slaps and kicks, and it was an amazing match. And I said at the beginning of this match, they're doing to Travis Banks what they did to Martin Kirby by putting him over one of the best stars in the world and making him a serious threat immediately.
Which they did late last year, Kirby versus Ospreay.
Yeah, and Kirby immediately got over. Now, this match ended with Travis Banks winning the match.
With a spinning heel kick, like a round kick off one of the ropes. So he just jumped
and turned around.
Roundhouse kicked him to
roundhouse
kick to the back of the head.
It was a huge kick.
This match felt long. When I went back and rewatched it, time-wise, it wasn't actually that long. It wasn't a 45-minute match by no means.
So much happened.
Yeah. So much happened.
If you can only see one match on this card, this is the one that I suggest you go see, because you will walk away with not only an appreciation for Travis Banks, but you'll get to see exactly... Because Jack Sabre Jr. doesn't come out of this match looking bad. Don't get me wrong. in Lost, he looks fantastic. Like, he looks... it's great.
I'm, like, shitty at myself that I'm so late jumping on the Jack Sabre Jr. bandwagon.
Yeah.
The first time I actually had seen him was in the Cruiserweight Classic tournament.
Yeah.
And that's really sad to say that...
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Like, we've heard a lot about him, but I've never seen him. Like,
who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's now officially my favorite wrestler.
Yeah, and
AJ's dead to me, obviously, because he went to WWE. So.
Yeah, and we were watching this with G Banks, and the best comment that or compliment an Australian can give to someone from New Zealand is, "That was so good, they're an Aussie now." So, that's from G Banks to Travis.
We should make that memo known to the Manchurian crowd that calling someone Aussie really isn't an insult. Like, maybe to them, but yeah.
Yeah, no, like...
it's actually a compliment.
So what happens is, if you get really good at something and you're from New Zealand, you're Australian, like Russell Crowe.
Yeah, we appropriate them, yeah.
We own you now because you're good at something. So Travis Banks, you're an Aussie now. Welcome on board, buddy.
Well,
good on you, mate.
Yes, by the end of this match, the crowd had ditched all their various chants and were just seriously clapping and applauding for what they had seen.
It was amazing. At the beginning, there was so much heel heat on Travis Banks, like comedy heel heat. Yeah. And by the end of it, the crowd was just in such shock, they were just clapping him as he was walking out. Like, there was no more heat. He was getting applause. And a great moment with Doug Williams standing at the top of the ramp.
I wanted to say Doug Williams.
No, I'm stealing Doug. Continuing on from last week where he watched Travis Banks lose and was disappointed. He was clapping as well. So
I can't wait to see what he's got in store for T Banks.
Yes, it's going to be good. All right. This one I'll leave to you because I know that there's a few people in this you like.
Yeah. Oh, I like everyone. Well, that's not true. Kind of. This was a number one contendership match for the internet title, which is currently held by Cody Rhodes. It was a triple threat elimination match featuring the villain Marty Scurll. And again, another one who is touted as one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yeah.
Why didn't WWE pick him up?
Probably couldn't afford him.
Not yet.
No, he's got a Ring of Honor contract.
Ring of Honor, that's right.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor is massive. We don't watch it because it's too hard for us to get in Australia, unfortunately. Yeah. But
no, he's signed to a Ring of Honor contract.
It really is epic.
They're signing people. Yeah.
I like this. Like, sorry, just to digress for a sec. All the non-WWE, I don't want to say indie, but these promotions, they all need to band together and start like an alliance.
Or do a supercard like the NWA used to do. It was literally called, what was it? Super Brawl, where you'd have members from all the different NWA fractions have dream matches at one pay-per-view per year.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That'd be great.
WCPW almost is that for those that are allowed to wrestle.
Yeah, it is.
And you know what they could call that card? They could call it "This is Wrestling" and just like bold it and underline like 1,000 times like wrestling. Yeah. Because it's great, you know, like there is alternatives out there. But so also in this match we had two other favorites from WCPW. Gabriel Kidd, who is 19 years old. Is he 19?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's a bit old. Something like that. He's a young lad.
Kid.
And El Ligero, another almost vet of the British scene. I think he's been around for about 10 years now.
We were saying during this match, El Ligero is one of those people that if you didn't understand wrestling, like if you were somebody that's like, what are you watching? And you're trying to explain to them, it's like, look, he's a northern British man that we pretend is a Mexican because of the way he wrestles and because he wears a mask. And we'll just keep pretending that he's Mexican. Unless there's another Mexican there, then he says in Spanish, you can't speak Mexican. That's the only time that gets, you can't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Trying to explain that character to somebody who's a non-wrestling fan just wouldn't get it. But if you're a wrestling fan, you're like, yeah, he's Mexican.
So this was a little interesting combination, I thought. Scurll, like, really he's a very dominant player in the scene, isn't he? So he really establishes himself as like he's good and he knows it.
Yeah. And he's a character.
He's a good performer. Yeah, he's really leaned into his character. And El Ligero as well, who's really leaned into that character and does the comedy face really well, like the exact opposite of Prospect. He's the comedy face to their comedy heel.
Really, really well taking the piss
Yeah.
out of the villain and so on. And there was some great moments of that.
And my guess is these guys and the roster must really respect Gabriel Kidd and really almost like want to mentor him and push him. Like, surely if they didn't want to be in a match with him, they would say no. Because
Yeah.
they've got that much clout. They could do.
Yeah, easily. I mean,
Yeah.
he is the future of this business, and they all know it because he's uber talented, and he seems to, from what I can establish and the very little contact that we've actually had with him, like I've spoken to him on Twitter once, he was the humblest, nicest person. Like, we were talking about a match that he was in, and we put him over. He must have heard the show and was like, "Oh, thank you so much." All right, it's like, no, dude, you're the worker. Like, thank you for letting us see that.
It was
Like,
awesome
he was so
entertainment.
humble and nice and genuine and stuff. Like, he seems like the character that he plays, he probably is that guy in real life.
Yeah.
Like, he loves wrestling.
This match was, as I said, earlier about Scurll, a little bit slow to get started. Scurll was mucking around. And as you pointed out, Stooge, the audience really needed some time in the arena and us to reset after that Travis Banks and Jack Sabre Jr. match.
There needed to be a couple of minutes of like just cool down. That's why he got to play the fool. And, and that was good because it gave the audience a chance to just cool down, reset, and then get really into hating him.
Exactly. So all I've got here is some verbs of the lines of kicks, chops, flips, drivers, I guess.
Yeah.
And cutters.
This is another one of those spectacle matches. Once it got started, it didn't stop. Like, they didn't take a breath. Everybody got some amazing moments in. I really, really appreciated the work ethic of all three involved in this match. So the first elimination went down to Marty Scurll eliminating El Ligero.
Yeah. With his chicken wing
Submission. Yeah. Which left him and Gabriel Kidd. Didn't realize he was in that, heel of one moment, and Gabriel Kidd and him start grappling.
I don't know if that was actually accidental or not.
I'm pretty sure that was his character.
Yeah, he's a professional.
Yeah. And then they start their sequence, which Marty Scurll just pulled out a victory on Gabriel Kidd.
Well, he had to low blow him. Yeah.
First, had to be the cheap heel.
So that's what I mean. They're putting him over.
So, Gabriel Kidd looked like he would have won that match if it wasn't for that cheap shot into the chicken wing. Which makes Scurll the number one contender now, which is pretty damn cool for the internet title. Yeah,
Scurll grabbed the mic following the match and cut quite a long promo, actually, against Cody Rhodes. He was disappointed that Cody had not included Scurll himself on his alleged list of
the people
the
who
must
want to wrestle.
Yeah.
And then he just reminded everyone that he eliminated Cody Rhodes from the Battle of Los Angeles, which he actually won.
That's right, yeah.
So there's some nice heat there. It was a good promo, though. I thought, like, the promo itself, it was long, but it was a good promo. I don't mind if a promo is long if it's good and, like, entertaining and it captures the audience and gets its message across.
And Scurll's not really a regular, let's face it. We're not going to see him every single week on Loaded. So it's good to sort of soak him in and get as much as we can before he goes back. This was only match 4 people, by the way. We are only halfway through the card. Yeah. At this point in the piece, I made a little comment that, there's no of these, there's none of the extra produced or backstage segments like we get on Loaded. And what should happen now? Cut to a backstage segment, pre-taped with
Cody Rhodes.
Kirby and his lollies.
Yes,
yeah. To which Joe Hendry came up to him and was appealing for him to, give him a push. He deserves it. He's finally bested Connors and what's going to happen? Well, what was going to happen was they were going to team later on.
Yeah.
But we then cut back to What Culture headquarters in Newcastle, England, for number 3 of 7 of the best of series.
Yeah.
Between Primate and Rampage.
Which was a boiler room match. Now,
Boiler Room Brawl,
which if you're an old school wrestling fan, you remember this was Mankind's match of choice.
Nice.
The Boiler Room Brawl.
Homage.
Very much so. And it happened exactly as you'd expect. There was a lot of violence. There was a lot of people getting thrown into stuff. It ended up on a rooftop at one point. They went back inside. It went down a stairwell.
They were in the offices after hours and a whole lot of stationery was used as weapons and accessories.
Yeah. So it's basically what you expect it to be.
Battle of the Beasts.
Yeah. Admittedly, and I'll you actually said this, so I'll credit it to you. It did run a little bit long during the show, but in saying that, you did need a break.
Yeah.
So they needed to split it up. Like, you needed some sort of break there. I think this would have been as you probably, I believe you pointed out as well, this probably would have been the intermission at the live show.
Yeah.
But it was kind of the intermission for us as well, because you know what's going to happen. This was a point where I got up and went and grabbed the drink and came back, and it was still just Rampage stomping Primate's head into something. Like, I didn't miss much.
It picked up and got a little bit more interesting as they went into the offices and then the basement. But at which point then it was quickly finished. Rampage looked like he had gained control, but Primate found a convenient giant chain lying around and choked out Rampage with the chain. Yeah, so and quite quickly.
Made him pass out.
Yeah.
Look, if you like those type of matches, it wasn't bad. I'm not saying it's a bad match at all. It wasn't. It was just an intermission match. Like, that's how it was set up. That's how it felt. This isn't the important one of the best of 7.
No.
So, and you could feel that going, like, this is just a brawl. Okay, this is because we just need to get the numbers ticked off to get to something more interesting.
The thing is, though, I respect what the guys working these type of matches, because it's so hard to tell a story. If you're literally fighting someone, like, for real, like, brawling with shit around, like, people are going to get hurt. There's going to be bleeding.
Don't get me
like,
wrong.
How do you make it look like a serious, tough fight without being like one of those, like,
and people actually getting hurt,
fake wrestling gimmicky?
No, don't get me wrong. I definitely respect the two guys and doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
I just don't. These aren't my type of matches. I like more the technical grap matches and that type of thing.
Me too. That's why we get along so well, Stooge. Well, after this, we got back to the arena. Speaking of one of your technical grappling favorites, Doug Williams was in ring action himself versus Joe Coffey, one of my favorites.
This was a battle of the favorites, because Joe Coffey is definitely one of your favorites, and I don't mind him. I think he's a good talent, but he's just not one of my favorite guys. Whereas I love Doug Williams.
God, you just love Doug Williams so much. All the years we watched TNA, Rick would try and he would really try and persuade me and really try and.
Doug's awesome.
Like, I don't know, just educate, mansplain how amazing Doug Williams is. He probably wasn't used the best in TNA all the time.
No, but his talent still shone through.
I do appreciate him more now, because I mean, this match, these guys are quite big dudes. They're quite solid, like Doug himself is as well. It was just fast and furious and hard. They barely slowed down. I think Doug at one point, you saw him take a really couple of big deep breaths, but he wasn't going to stop and do the whole WWE lie on the mat for 10 minutes and stare at each other. Like,
I remember that point. No, that was just before, like, it was. I think it was on the top rope. He was about to like grab Coffey to throw him off the ropes. I don't think those deep breaths were like, okay, I'm slowing down. No, I think those deep breaths were like, this is a beast I'm about to throw. Let me just grab a couple of deep breaths in here and then try and lift him. Like,
oxygenate,
Yeah, you know, just before you go for a lift, you go, and then you push a couple of times. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Like, he was just getting some oxygen in before he tried to grab that huge mountain in front of him. Great match. Technical wrestling masterpiece. It stayed in the ring as well, primarily. I really enjoyed it. This ran like a cruiserweight match almost. But with two heavyweights.
I couldn't believe it, yeah. Coffey was victorious with a quick win, though. He got a very quick black coffee on Williams, which leads into another point I'd like to digress into. I felt that the finishes on this pay-per-view overall let it down a little bit. A lot of them were very... I know they don't really go into the big build-up of, like... I know that's a WWE thing, I guess, like near miss. Someone nearly gets their big move. And then, like, finally, it was just very, like, which is probably more realistic, but it felt a little bit anticlimactic.
No, I get it. It's more realistic. I actually prefer this because it's like, this is a way it would actually happen.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, you're going to near miss 15 times before somebody just, I kind of prefer this style. I get what you mean.
Good. Okay.
This is more wrestling than entertainment.
Yeah, I guess we're so conditioned to that's how a pacing of a match is going to go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was out of nowhere, but it was a big hit. It looked great. And again, Doug Williams is another one that doesn't ever... You can make Doug Williams lose for 6 months straight and then have him win one night out of nowhere, and it's believable. Because he's just that good. So Doug Williams never looks bad in loss. And he loses a lot, but he's still credible every time. You just don't notice that he loses a lot because he's so credible. But he loses a lot.
He does, but he gets a lot of heat, and yeah. Let's move on to the next match, which was the tag team match between the present What Culture general manager Martin Kirby and Joe Hendry, household favorite, versus the Swords of Essex. So Scotty Wainwright and Paul Robinson in a tag team match. What did you think, Stooge?
I think this was a very classic X tag team match. The two, solo faces versus the established heel tag team.
Yeah.
The wrestling was like, these are four great wrestlers.
Yeah.
So there's no way that this match was going to be bad. It just can't be. And it's exactly what you expected. You expected some great moments from everyone. You expected everyone to get their spots in. You expected, Martin Kirby to be a bit funny here and there and but still extremely credible. Joe Hendry to get his Joe Hendry over. The Swords of Essex to be the dodgy evil heels. Everyone played their part in the match really well. And then when you add in the fact that all of these four guys can wrestle really well.
Yeah.
It came up like I thought this was a great match.
Yeah, they all can wrestle really well. They seem so comfortable in the ring. They all know where they are, what's doing. Like, they might have practiced 1,000 times. We don't know, but hey, it works.
It almost seemed like they were at Sunday dinner.
Yeah,
like they were just, oh hey mate, pass this over. Here we go. Yep, next bit.
For me, Scotty Wainwright, I remember his name now. He really stood out. I thought he was performer of the match. He flipped himself around. He's a big dude. Like,
yeah, that 360 flapjack he did off the top rope at the end was spectacular.
I think it's hard. People don't really appreciate the like core quality of the wrestling when you are a bit of a comedy heel faction, and you've got you've got sort of like your little bulldog or little chihuahua, and you've got Bea Priestley kind of causing distractions on the side. But yeah, like,
he is a great worker. He really
I'm
is.
glad they're here, I have to say.
Yeah.
They were victorious, Swords of Essex, with a sort of similar move to Moss and Slater, a tag team finisher. So Wainwright had, was it Kirby? Yeah, because Joe Hendry got knocked off the ring, shenanigans, so they'll obviously have a beef. Kirby was slung up on his shoulders and fireman carry. Paul, come on, Breed. Paul jumped over him, double foot stomp.
Into the back of the head, and then Scotty Wainwright dropped him into an F5.
Yeah. An F5.
Yeah.
Isn't that Cena's move? No, Rock.
No.
One of the big ones?
Lesnar.
I knew it was one of the big ones. Ting, ting, ting.
Yeah. So it looked great, though. It really looked devastating. It looked really heelish. It's like an evil move. Like, you stomp someone in the back of the neck. Like, that's rough.
Oh, yeah. Street's rough.
Yeah, it's a rough move.
Yeah, Scotty, Paul Robinson wrestles with his, like, street, tough big chain around his neck. He's like silver chain,
No, all four. You got exactly what you expected.
Yeah.
You expected a great work match, and that's what you got.
Yeah, and it was good for, I think, a little like breakup match for Hendry as well, after his really serious bouts with Connors.
It's nice to kind of put him on a new path as well. And you also had to slow the pace down for what was coming next.
Yes, another marquee match for the internet title. Cody Rhodes, current champion, versus a newcomer to WCPW. Again, another that's touted as one of the best in the world today. And I have to admit, I've never seen anything he's in up to this point.
I've heard a lot, but never seen anything from him.
We could just watch on YouTube, but no, we just like to wait. Ricochet, who is currently in Japan or
all over
everywhere,
the place,
anywhere,
everywhere.
Highest bidder.
This is touted as a dream match because who would have expected a year ago that we would see Ricochet versus Cody Rhodes? No one. Like, it wouldn't happen. One was on contract to WWE, and Ricochet is independent darling Ricochet. You wouldn't have expected
Internet
this.
darling, I think they call him,
Wouldn't have expected it. So seeing a match like this first is like exciting because it's like this is the first time it's ever happened between these two. And I like Cody Rhodes' style. I've heard great things about Ricochet's style. He's apparently the flip king and so on and so on. And let's see what happens when they kind of mesh together.
He didn't do that many flips in this match, I found.
No, but one thing I really enjoyed about Ricochet, apart from his wrestling and so on, was he was so happy to be there.
Yeah.
He was so smiley and so happy to be in a match with Cody Rhodes. He got a 2 sweet from him.
Nice.
You know, the smiles. Like, he was smiling half the time. Like, he was just happy to be in a match with somebody whose surname was Rhodes. Like,
I'm guessing Ricochet mixes up his style just a lot depending on who he's working with. Yeah. So he's pretty amazing. He's very athletic. Wow. Like,
amazing in that ring.
Yeah.
Amazing. He knows that ring better than most people know their own bodies.
And Cody Rhodes, obviously, the American Nightmare he's been rebranded to now that he is in Bullet Club in Japan. You know, he's still always happy to be in WCPW. Clearly loves being the champion.
Yeah, definitely. And retained his internet title with a brutally huge Crossroads, which is a spinning DDT variation that Ricochet sold the absolute crap out of. Like, he couldn't have sold that any better if he tried. He made it look devastating. And I'll be honest with you, if we hadn't had that match earlier in the card, this would have been my match of the night because it was just really damn good.
This was just such a heavy pay-per-view. Like, there was just so much good stuff on it. This match I felt was really athletic too. Like, it was more so than like a pro wrestling match.
Oh, definitely. Like, and as I said, this would have been any other night, any other day, any other card. This was match of the night, but it just missed out tonight.
Yeah, and now another point, we mentioned this before on Kirby Mania, following such an epic match, like pure wrestling match with, you know, hot people in the world today, we had the actual main event, which was the WCPW champion, heavyweight champion, Drew Galloway versus Bully Ray. And again, I feel this match felt flat after everything else on the card. And then Drew's amazing, and he's the champion. This should be the marquee match, but it just wasn't.
Should have been. And Bully Ray, like, look, I love Bully Ray. I've, you know, been a fan of Team 3D and the Dudleys since the ECW days. And, you know, we were there for their first TNA appearance was in Sydney, Australia as Team 3D, and we were there with 50 other people. No one else knew about it.
There was about 500, to be fair.
No, there was about 50 people.
Oh, maybe just there were so many empty seats.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. You know, I've been a fan of his
Putting
forever.
some jobbers through a table.
Yeah. But the way he's playing his gimmick at the moment, I just don't like. It's so boring. We've seen you do this do something interesting. Like, look at what Matt Hardy's doing. He's taken his character in an interesting... I don't mean go broken Bully Ray. I mean, like, find an interesting new dimension to your character and try something different. We've seen this so much. And just the wasting time bullshit at the beginning of the match.
And the cheap heel heat and,
It's not necessary. You're Bully Ray. You shouldn't need to get cheap heel heat. Are you kidding me?
Look, I do like... which I said before, that he's working with the Swords of Essex. I sort of liked working with the local guys, and he put Adam Pacitti over and that type of thing. That element's cool.
No, I like everything else about it.
Yeah.
Until he gets in the ring.
Yeah, and I feel it really detracts from Drew Galloway and really detracts from like the importance of a championship match. Yeah.
So they made this into a hardcore match. It became a Falls Count Anywhere.
Yeah, no DQ.
No DQ match. They went into the arena. They went into the bar.
Yeah, ECW homage.
Yeah, tables, chairs, rah. Look, it wasn't a bad match. It really wasn't. But it just wasn't up to the standard of the rest of this card. In fact, I don't feel it was anywhere near the standard of the rest of this card. If this match was on TNA...
yeah.
I probably wouldn't have had as much of a problem with it.
No, exactly. Yeah.
But the rest of this card was just so spectacular that this, you know... an average match just didn't fit.
The other thing is, I mean, Drew Galloway is such a professional and getting onto a veteran, but he is a big dude. A lot of the WCPW guys aren't that big physically. Like, he does need some big guys to compete against.
He does, but let's put him in with Rampage and
Primate. Hey, I like that.
Yeah, or Johnny Moss.
Yeah,
we've got some dudes
there
that we can put him in there.
Yeah.
Joe Coffey.
Joe Hendry. They worked well together.
Yeah, who's going to be the number one contender. Let's put him in with some of our, like, we don't need Bully Ray's out, like, and let's leave Bully Ray with the Swords of Essex being the cheeky heels, and that kind of works. And what happened after this? Of course, Drew Galloway retained.
Yeah, look, it was another half-cock win, if you ask me. Galloway just got the pin with a quick roll-up, like, out of nowhere. Yeah.
It was kind of, and then he gets beat down by the Swords of Essex.
Yeah, put through a table, tick. Hendry and Kirby came out to the rescue of Galloway at that point.
Yeah, so they're holding off the Swords of Essex.
Yeah. Also, Ricochet came out, but Ricochet himself was put down by a surprise entrance of Will Ospreay, who grabbed him. Ricochet was up on the ropes and he grabbed him.
And did a beautiful RKO out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Randy Orton would have been proud.
Ospreay then stole Drew's heavyweight championship title belt, so him and Bea Priestley have matching like stolen belts.
It's so cute. And that was the end of the show.
Chaps.
The end of the show was really good. I like that angle.
Yeah.
I like the story arc. I like the return of Will Ospreay. I like Ricochet and Joe Hendry coming in and getting involved.
And this is all over the internet and War Culture's YouTube channels that in the next episode of Loaded, Ricochet and Will Ospreay will be facing off.
Which
so
will be
set up for that.
amazing.
Yes, can we watch that now, please?
Yeah. But, so it was kind of weird. Like the main event, everything that happened after the match finished was great. Everything before the match was great. Just the main event was kind of flat, which I hate to say. I'm looking forward to seeing Drew Galloway in a match with someone else, though. Like, let's move this on. And cool, it happened. That's fine. No more.
Yeah. But yeah, as usual, we encourage you to get on board the WCPW train. Don't be hating, though, as Pacitti put out a public service announcement. It's great for the guys that have been taken by WWE. It sounds like aliens. The ship came in and they've been...
no, it's great. Like, it's fantastic for them. The exposure they're going to get is amazing.
And you have to remember, this is people's careers. They have to decide for themselves if it's right for them to go or not.
I know. The UK tournament's the talk of the world.
Yeah, so...
and we know who won, and he's the talk of the town right now, and that's fantastic. It's the next WCPW guy that won, and the main, the finals was 2 WCPW guys.
Amazing.
So, which was fantastic. And it's great for them. They're going to get a show, a WWE UK show. It's going to be a weekly thing. That's awesome for them. I'm really proud and happy that they got that opportunity to be on that stage. It's a huge, huge platform to be on. Millions of people watch WWE programming every week.
Yeah, and maybe that will flow on to WCPW itself. Maybe they can reap the benefits in turn. But we will still be here supporting them, doing these shows, giving you our thoughts and insights and expert knowledge.
And we'll actually be back with you tomorrow because there's been an episode of Loaded that we need to watch, so we're going to catch up on that quickly. So we will talk to you then with some WCPW Loaded recap. After that, we've got the Impact Wrestling recap coming up on Saturday, Australia time, so that'll be Friday in the US. And more video game stuff.
And I just like to point on the record that we've been supporting Impact for 9 years now. TNA.
No, longer. 2005
through the
we started watching Impact.
Through the whole, they're going to disappear any minute now. Haters going to hate. We've been there.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. We always appreciate it. Let us know what you thought of the show below. What dream matches do you have for WCPW? I know we've got a million of them. Let's talk wrestling. Leave some comments in the YouTube channel, please. Thank you again. I've been your host, the Stooge.
Hang on, I'm your host.
I was about to pass it over to you.
I've been
your co-host.
No, your place. I am your host, the Knockout Fiona.
And until next time, don't forget adventure, excitement. Stooge craves not these things.
Welcome to the Stooge Revolution.